What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sector for Nerds. I'm Ryan Brower, and today I'm here to chat with you guys about The Mandalorian Chapter 17, The Apostate. If I sound a little congested or my voice sounds a little bit weak, it's because I'm currently battling a cold. I've been battling one for the past couple days, but while I haven't been feeling well physically, I could not be more excited for all the Star Wars content that we've got coming up. We're talking about Mandalorian today. You guys stay tuned tomorrow, and we're going to talk about Bad Batch Season 2, the newest episode that came out as well. As soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm going to go and watch that Bad Batch episode, record my immediate thoughts there, and then go back to working on editing my Mando video so I can get that up for today. And then you guys will have Bad Batch tomorrow. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing, you guys, but surely it was less confusing as Jon Favreau explaining the Mandalorian timeline. And we'll get to that in a second, you guys, but first up, make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm someone who likes to do a lot of Star Wars discussions like this and being able to talk about the newest episodes that appear on Disney+, so I highly recommend you guys subscribe. I do a bunch of Star Wars video games as well, reaction videos, all that fun stuff. I'm on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and if we do that, we will do a watch party live stream of one of the 3 Star Wars trilogies, whether that be prequels, sequels, or originals. But as far as which one we do, I'll leave that up to you guys. We'll do a poll down the line. But I highly encourage you guys to subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. It would mean so much to me if I can do that. Also, if you guys could as well, I just recently created a new YouTube channel called Top 10 Character Moments, and it's a channel where I solely focus on making top 10 videos on my favorite characters' moments and why I like them so much. I highly recommend you guys go over there as well and subscribe. I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, so before we dig too deep into the episode itself, we gotta talk about something that was literally brought to my attention while I was watching this episode. My brother texts me and he sends me this article, and it talks about how the Mando and Grogu were separated for 2 years. Apparently this is something that Jon Favreau talked about recently, and it's kind of got me all confused, you guys, because it felt like in the Book of Boba Fett that Grogu was only going through like the basic steps of the training. At least that was kind of like the vibes I was getting. But then to hear like, oh, Luke was with Grogu for 2 years. I know that Luke said a short time for you is a lifetime for somebody else. But I also wonder, like, does that include when it comes to training as well? Because you would think, like, all right, if you've been training to be a Jedi for 2 years, you definitely have, like, some crazy skills and stuff. At least that's what I would think, right? But maybe just, like, I don't know, maybe 2 years of training for Grogu is, like, 2 weeks of source material? Like, I don't know. I wish it was better explained. And then it kind of just begs the question, well, what was Boba Fett and Fennec Shand doing for 2 years? Because when we first see Boba in the Book of Boba, he's just getting his tributes. He's just becoming like the new head of Tatooine. So what was he doing for all of that time? Now, all of that being said, when it comes to this episode and the time jump, everything that happened in this episode made sense as far as like the way that everybody was talking about everything, the way that Greef was talking about how Navarro has grown and it's become this trade outpost and it's become well established and respected. The town looks like it's evolved as well. Greef talks about how Cara Dune was recruited by special forces. He needs a new marshal. Moff Gideon was sent to a New Republic tribunal. So there's all this stuff that's going on. I do just wish, however, that they would have been more clear in the show that like, hey, it's been 2 years since, you know, we last saw a lot of these people. Like, don't get me wrong, I know we had to wait 2 years between, like, Mando Season 2 and Mando Season 3, but again, I wish that was made more specific in the show itself. Like, in the Kenobi show, they kept emphasizing, right, like, it's been 10 years, it's been 10 years. I wish they would have done something like that here. Of course, Cara Dune not being there because of everything that went down between Gina Carano and Lucasfilm a couple years back. I think they definitely left it open-ended for where, if they can just resolve whatever it is that they've got going on, that maybe they can bring Cara Dune back into the fold. Because I really did enjoy her character, and I just wish like all this like real life, you know, stuff that was going on at the time, you know, wouldn't have gotten in the way of them producing good content. But again, like her not being there does indeed like help Greef's character, right? Because he's sitting there like, look, I'm in desperate need of a marshal right now. Like, I need someone who can like lay down the law. And, you know, Mando goes, well, why not get one from the New Republic? And, you know, to Greef's credit, he wants Navarro to sort of thrive on its own and be like the first truly independent system since the war, right? And he wants to show like, hey, we can thrive without the New Republic or the Empire, which kind of really made me feel for Greef as well. It's like, I want him to succeed because he seems like a good dude, you know? He's also got the title of High Magistry now as well. Another big discussion point that I wanted to have was that Grogu can see the Purrgil when they're in hyperspace. And it obviously immediately made me think of Star Wars Rebels, thinking about the Purrgil, thinking about Ezra. And I'm like, okay, we're teasing something right now. Like, you wouldn't have shown us Purrgil if you weren't gonna set something up. Not saying that we're gonna find Ezra in this show, but, you know, we do have an Ahsoka series coming up later this year, so there's that. Other big discussion point that I want to talk about is Bo Katan potentially gonna be the main villain for season 3, because when Din went to go see her at the end of this episode, she was not happy. So it feels then, if we're going with this 2-year time jump thing, Bo Katan's gone 2 years without seeing her peoples, because when she didn't return with the Darksaber, her people are like, all right, screw this, we're done. And then Bo pretty much lost all hope. And it's funny because she was the one who was trying to give everybody else hope, right? Like, oh, don't believe the stuff that you hear about Mandalore. The planet isn't cursed, whatever. Like, don't believe that. We're going to go take back Mandalore. And now she's saying like, oh, there's nothing left and, you know, there's nothing to fight for. And Din's just like, make up your mind. I don't know. I think she's going to get mad at Din because he took away her chance to rule Mandalore. I don't know. I definitely don't trust her anymore. Like, the way, like, her facial expressions in this episode, she just looked like she was in the most sour mood. I really enjoyed this episode, you guys. There was a lot to talk about. That opening scene with the, the young kid getting brought into the Mandalore fold or whatever, I kind of thought that, oh, is this a flashback scene? Like, they're showing Din and how he got recruited. But then I saw the N1 and I'm like, oh, no, wait, this is actually like current time. They really got me, and I almost wonder if that was intentional to like make you think, oh, like this is a flashback scene for Din, but it wasn't. He goes to Navarro, he meets up with Greef, he wants to get the IG-11 droid, which they obviously made the statue of with all his parts, and then they need to get him back, and so that's kind of why he's there, and that's when Greef kind of tries to convince him to stay, and that's why I said before, you guys, like, I really want Greef to succeed. Like, I want him and this planet to succeed without interference from the Empire, without interference from the New Republic. Like, I just want him to thrive and for the planet to thrive. They do that old Western standoff in front of the school because the pirates were like, well, we're gonna drink here because this is where the bar used to be. And then they're obviously just causing trouble because it's right, like the bar is now a school. Greef's just like, all right, look, let's go have a drink at my office. Let's just talk things through. And the pirates being as stubborn as they were, they're like, no, we're drinking here. And then, Din's sitting there being like, is there a problem? And then Greef looks at them like, is there a problem? And then they do something that they've done so well in this show is all the old Western standoffs. I love taking old school concepts and bringing them into newer forms of storytelling. Now, curiously, Greef doesn't kill him. He just shoots his hand, kind of like how Sabine did with Fen Rao in Star Wars Rebels. And then, of course, the other ones start to pull out their guns, and that's where Din starts shooting them, and Greef starts shooting them as well. So all the guards die, but then they leave the commander alive to go back and be like, hey, you ain't pulling this crap anymore. But then that does kind of go back to bite Din and Greef in the butt a little bit, because when Din's trying to leave, then the pirates end up going after him and like, you killed a bunch of my men, and then Din goes ahead and kills some more. Din gets confronted by their command ship, but then he just presses the, speed boost button, what I'm now calling the ludicrous speed button, which is a Spaceballs reference for those who don't know. And if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it. It's funny. Like, every time I see him hit that button, I just think, ludicrous speed, go. And then at the end of the episode, we get the stuff with Bo Katan, which we already talked about. So yeah, you guys, I'm really excited to see where we go with this show. Rick Famuyiwa directed this episode. I saw the casting, or not the casting list, the director's list yesterday for all the episodes that are coming out. Rick Famuyiwa is directing 3 episodes this season. I think he's directing this one, and then he's directing, I believe, the final 2 episodes of this show. So very curious, you guys. I think this is like the first time that we've seen like one person direct 3 different episodes. They've got some new directors around this year. Bryce Dallas Howard, I know, has one. Curiously, Dave didn't direct any episodes this season. He did help John write a few. I took a look at that list and I saw that Dave helped write a few of the episodes. But if I had to make a guess, you guys, of maybe why Dave didn't maybe do as much this season is probably because he's putting more focus into the Ahsoka series, which makes sense, right? Like, that's gotta be his baby. That's his bread and butter. Like, Ahsoka is like his character, you know? Mando season 4 apparently has already been written, and it's supposed to, you know, obviously be tied in with stuff that happens with Ahsoka and with Skeleton Crew. So I'm very excited, you guys. The Mandoverse, the Filoni verse, whatever you want to call it, is really starting to take shape, and I really enjoy it. I hope Mandalorian continues to go on for years to come, you guys, because, I mean, this has been such a phenomenal show. It's like, I love the stories that they tell. There really haven't been any episodes, apart from maybe like the one spider episode where I just, you know, that one I didn't enjoy as much. But apart from that, like, all the episodes in this show have either been good or great. Mando has sort of set the standard for what, you know, the Disney Plus shows, in my opinion, of how good they should be. And I think when it comes to Mando, you guys, like, and this Mando verse, I just hope that they continue to allow John and Dave to tell the stories that they want to tell, and the stories that, you know, stories that I believe they know what is best for the Star Wars universe and what these characters need to be doing. All right, you guys, I think that's going to wrap us up for today. I'm going to go watch Bad Batch now and record my thoughts on that, and then hopefully I'll have this video up for you guys at some point during the day. And like I said, stay tuned tomorrow because we're going to do a Bad Batch video, and I'm very, very excited, you guys. We got all this Star Wars content right now. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel. Go subscribe to Top 10 Character Moments, link in the description below, and I will see you guys next time.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.